pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you'll do the roll, please.
Robert Mueller.
Here.
Dina Carter.
Here.
Jan Braun.
Here.
Sarah Menard.
Here.
Mary Beth Ferguson. Kelly Fowler.
Here.
Laura Oliver.
Here.
Michael Hankins.
Here.
Kathleen Walsh.
Here.
Beth Caldwell.
Here.
And we have a quorum.
Very good. Probably our best attendance ever.
I know, I ran out of copies. Usually I have way too many.
Very good. The first thing in front of you is the agenda, which will be on the top of your page. Are there any additions to the agenda that people would like to talk about tonight?
If there aren't any changes or additions, I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Is there a second? Second. Jan? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. You have the minutes from the October 20th meeting. Thank you for sending those out. Take just a minute to go over those.
I think there was one thing. On the second page, halfway down, Sandra reported that the group travel conference, that would be the ABA, which is American Bus Association conference. So just take out the ABA conference, yeah. And it's American Bus Association? Correct. Okay. And then that's probably good enough.
Any other changes? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Jan, is there a second?
Second.
Sarah? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Are there any citizens to be heard? Kathy, you want to say anything tonight?
No.
Thanks for coming. Okay, then we want to move on to Sandra's report.
Okay. Well, so you have lots of statistics and numbers in front of you. It's that time of year we're looking at the end of September's numbers, basically, and then also in some of your sheets you have October numbers as well. So we'll start with the attendance numbers. That's your sheet that has all the hopefully colored blocks across the top. You can see that in October we had 3,087 guests. Last year it was 3,011. That's pretty, it's higher, it's 3% higher, but it's pretty much on par with last year. And for the year to date, we're up by just about 11%, which means that we made up quite a bit of ground from earlier in the year, and we're pleased with that. You'll see that played out a little bit later. It is interesting to look at this, and I know for those in the room who are merchants, shop owners, restaurants, etc., I know that I heard, just comments that September was a slow month, and apparently September is a slow month every year. So that you can see that in the dip here when you look across the page. Looks like September slows down a little bit each year. Right. Everybody's really busy in August, and we have the Jour de Fête in August, which bumps up everything. But then September traditionally is a little bit lower. So
And, we don't really have any events during September either. major events.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only thing we did this year, and it was late, was the history conference.
And the Bike and Badge Rally, might have been one other small event in there, but it's just interesting to note that, and I think Jan's observation is probably dead on with the reaction to families getting back into routine after the start of school is probably the biggest impact there, I should imagine. And you can see what we're coming into with November and December. So if last weekend's drop was any indication, I don't know how it was for the bed and breakfast, but at the Welcome Center, Saturday was a fairly good Saturday. Sunday was just dismal. I mean, with the change in the weather forecast, and we actually had snow flurries, it was really low. So anyway, so there's that. On the next page, you can see I'm going to kind of lump together September and October, but you can see the breakdown there in terms of the adult group visitors. In 2013, in September was 78, October was 155, and 2014 was 155. October was 170 last year and 391 this year. Somebody's probably got one of these that has my scribbles on it, so I apologize for that. That gave us a total of 546 adult group visitors this year.
Are those bus groups?
Those are bus groups, yeah. A few would be, like a family reunion that has coordinated something through the Welcome Center, but for the most part, those are bus groups.
Was that the American Queen or something? What's the jump?
Only one was the American Queen, and that was in October. But we booked a few more groups this year. We had sent out information to all of the senior activity centers that we could get our hands on in St. Louis and invited them to consider coming down. So they tend to be a pretty good, type of group. Bob did several step-on tours.
So those efforts are paying off? Those efforts are paying off?
Yes. Thank you for that observation. So for the year, up 16% in groups. Now, last year, again, we had 0 in November and December for groups. I'm still trying to see if we can't get a group to come over Christmas Walk weekend. I know Christmas Walk weekend is busy anyway, but we did have a group that came here for French Festival this year, so I'm trying to get more groups to come here and experience our festivals. So I'm still got my fingers crossed. I have a couple of proposals out there. Don't know what will happen, but we're trying. And then your next sheet should say student group visitors. We had 8 student tour groups in the months of September and October, and there were actually a few more than that had to cancel because of the rain, and we had some from last year. You see where we're down in the month of September and October. We were down a little bit with student groups. We had several schools this year whose funding had been cut, but then again, we had a couple of new schools too. So we had and we had, sometimes we're reaching out to other types of groups within a school, so we're still trying to increase that. I mean, the real focus for our purposes here is really probably more the adults, but we're trying to get more on the students too.
I think we have St. Jen's coming up the next few weeks, or the next week or so.
We actually were here several days after school this week.
Yeah.
Last week and this week. Because they're close, they can kind of break it up. They don't have to do their whole, tour of St. Genevieve in one day, the way the group's coming in on buses, obviously. Then the next page you have is adult passport sales. You can kind of see where we stand on that. I think after the Alderman's meeting, Beth had asked me about adult passport sales, and we had 345 in October compared to 247. I would say some of that is due to rural heritage. We had a strong rural heritage weekend this year, and several people seem to be more interested in the history, and so we had some increases in adult passports. In addition, we're trying to stress to the adults who accompany our student tours to consider purchasing a passport for themselves. the teacher gets in free and the bus driver gets in free, but a lot of times there's, 6, 8, 10, 15 parents coming along with it, and they go around to all the tours too. So we're trying to increase our numbers in the adults that way too. Then, because it was the end of September, I wanted to also update the sales tax revenue figures for you. You can see where we stood in the columns to the left. You can see 2013 versus 2014. And then, for instance, July was about 3,600 in 2013 and 3,900 2014. So that one was up slightly. The next month, August, was 37 versus 32, so down slightly. September, 3,000 versus 2,909, so, that was statistically pretty even. On the year, we stand at 27,323 versus 27,956, so we're pretty well on par there. That's the restaurant sales tax revenues. Then the next page is the merchant sales tax revenues. And, earlier in the year, we had some really rough months for our merchants in terms of that sales tax reporting and revenues. You can see that for the year to date, we're just over 7,000, and last year at this time, we were at 7,800. So we're still a little bit behind, but I've heard a lot of positive comments about how strong October has been for people, so we hope that October will continue that growth, and if the weather allows, we won't be seeing zeros in December this year. So pray for Mother Nature to be kind to us. We have started to track, at the Welcome Center, we have started to track weather conditions, because it obviously makes a huge impact, and it's hard to remember next year just how many days. We have to go back and actually search it in terms of how many days we were closed or impacted by weather. So we're starting to track that now, and hopefully it'll help us with our statistics just a little bit. It doesn't change the numbers, it just helps us understand them better. And then finally, you have Tourism Tax Commission revenues. This is the overnight lodging tax. This will be something that the Tourism Tax Commission will be talking about later this week. You can see that for the months of July, August, and September, that would be the quarter most recently added to the report. We were up a little bit in July, we were down in August, and down in September. Not all of the data has come in yet for September, so that could change on the next report. But where we stand on the year is 13,324. And you can see that we still have October, November, December left. That was last year about 5,000, maybe a little bit more. So, it remains to be seen where we'll stand. Yeah, where we'll stand on the year. It might be, if October, November, December come in strong, then we might be at about 18,000 for the year. So that's picked up.
Why did you say you don't have all your information for September?
It depends on when people report.
There are some people that even go beyond the month end and have to pay the penalty. It's very small typically. I mean, it's minuscule.
Mm-hmm. And we do have the addition of the Steiger House B&B. I don't imagine that they have been sold out any of the weekends yet, but I know they're very enthusiastically, embracing the community and booking rooms on the weekends especially. The Main Street Inn did share with me that she is undertaking some HVAC repairs over the winter months. So she's handling that through her booking website, but for the most part, until she decides to start booking people again, she doesn't want to have to go through the additional expenses of the HVAC, cranking up the heat and making everyone comfortable. So she's doing some upgrades right now. So my point was, she'll be offline in terms of tourism tax revenues, while the Steiger House will be online. So those are some of the numbers. In addition to that, I wanted to give you an update on the Fleur-de-Lis program. We did a soft launch of the Fleur-de-Lis Bucks program since the last meeting when we talked about this. I'll pass this around. This is actually the front and back of the Fleur-de-Lis. And these are some of them. And as you can see, the front has the St. Genevieve info, the Fleur-de-Lis program info, and then the back. Let me see the back of those two, Bob. Okay, so those both have stickers on them. So on the back it says this token is worth $5 at participating locations. And so originally we were thinking that this might be primarily for groups, and then we realized that there would be no reason that individuals couldn't purchase these. If you want to, do $10 in Fleur-de-Lis bucks for a teacher gift, or if you wanted to do $40 worth of Fleur-de-Lis bucks, and it would be good at participating merchants downtown. So, so we're expanding the program, and as we get into the full launch of it, in addition, I'm approaching the wineries to see if they might want to. You can see how on the back of it we can customize it. So some of those are going one direction and one's going the other. We can customize it with, like this token is valid for complimentary wine tasting at a winery, so we try to embrace our whole destination again. And tomorrow there's a conference call of the Route de Vin, and I sent some information out to them, and they'll be discussing that. But pretty well, I've gotten pretty positive feedback so far, so we're excited about this.
All the, all the downtown merchants are on board?
I haven't had anyone say that they didn't want to do it yet. I haven't had a chance to approach all the restaurants and see if they all want to participate. I just don't know, but the merchants are pretty well on board. Yeah.
Some of us are hard to find.
When it gets cold.
Yeah, I'll catch you in
Should I put an
the
advertisement in the paper for like a Christmas gift ideal?
Yeah, I was planning on doing a press release about it. And as I said, we have, so I'll skip ahead just for a second here. So we have the Cookie Crumb Trail event this Saturday, and I made the Welcome Center available to the St. Genevieve Downtown Renewal Program to host a table in there. They can sell their tickets for the Cookie Crumb Trail there, and so we'll have a chance to also tell people about the Fleur-de-Lis Bucks. And then, of course, the Saturday after Thanksgiving is the Shop Small Saturday. I'm sure you'll be hearing more about that. Downtown Renewal is co-sponsoring that along with St. Genevieve Chamber. Chamber's been doing it for years, and Downtown Renewal has been doing it for 2 years now, and so really trying to build awareness amongst people about the importance of supporting our local merchants. So that's the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Again, another chance to have people come in and pick up Fleur-de-Lis bucks. Yes?
I missed something last meeting when you first talked about this, I think. Are you going to sell those or give them away?
They are for sale. So if you wanted to purchase this for your tour group, or this would be 2 tokens, $10, you would pay $10 for those tokens. Then when I come into your shop, I'll give this to you, and you will then bring that, bring it, whatever you want to do. You will redeem that at the Welcome Center for your $5.
At the end of the month?
End of the month, might be end of the quarter.
Where does the money come from that we're all going to go and redeem them?
The sales of them. They weren't.
That's going to be set aside?
Correct, correct.
So if a customer were to spend less than $5, there isn't any way to indicate on there, okay, $2.50 remains on this?
No, but you're going to give them change back. Let's say that they did only spend $3 and you gave them $2 change.
Real money, real cash.
You gave them real money.
Okay.
You're still going to redeem this for $5.
Right.
So you'll get your $2 back when you redeem it.
And they haven't lost anything.
Correct, yeah. So they spend just like cash. And it's just kind of a fun way, we're hoping it'll be a little bit of a conversation starter, a little bit of, a little energy, and, Fleur-de-Lis, some people are familiar with it, some people aren't, they think it's the Girl Scout symbol, whatever. So, it could be a conversation starter and just a way to get people to get into shopping and start spending money. And, it's kind of like having a coupon in your pocket. You're on a mission then. You've got something you want to
Are
spend.
you thinking about a decal for the window of a
Yes.
business or something, a participant?
Mhm. We're actually working on that, getting some custom, where we participate in the St. Genevieve Fleur-de-Lis Bucks program. So there's an update on that. And so if anyone wants to purchase any Fleur-de-Lis Bucks as a gift for anyone, please come down to the Welcome Center. We'll be happy to accommodate you. So the tear-off map, you saw the draft of the tear-off map at the last meeting. We've made a couple of modifications to that, and we're currently going out for quotes on the printing for this. It will be 8.5 by 11. It will be padded as so you could tear each one off and just hand it to someone. So it'll be a simplified version of our full-blown St. Genevieve Visitors Guide, and they won't have to open it up and so on. Now, we'll still have that available for people if they're looking, for a particular thing. We can circle it, whatever. But if people are just looking, especially if they're doing the passport program, if they're just looking to go around the downtown and they just want to know how wide is it and how long is it, and if I get up on 4th Street, am I done with downtown? It kind of gives them a little better gauge of the downtown area. Event confirmations are in progress. We have, I would say, about 85% of the event sheets have been returned. This is a program that we started last year to encourage the organizers of the events, whether it's on January 1st or December 15th of 2015, to get their confirmed event dates into us. And it seems like this year it's gone a little smoother so far. There are a couple of events that maybe only happen every other year, and so we're trying to track down, some details on those. But really, I think it's going pretty well. And our goal is to, during this slow time, like after Christmas Festival and in early January, to get those entered into the computer and then get those up on all of the online postings where we submit our St. Genevieve events, which is a pretty extensive list.
Do you have a list of who you're still looking for?
Yes. You want me to review that? So we're about 85%
Yeah,
in that
no, I
now.
just think, if you want some help talking to someone, I know I talked to the Fair Board leaders at a meeting the other night.
Oh.
Encouraged them to get one in.
Good. So we just have a few, and these are, they're typically, the events are done by volunteer groups pretty well, so there's a few volunteer groups that sometimes take a little bit longer, but.
It's a great opportunity for free advertising for your event, and it goes in a number, 4, 5, 6 free calendars and stuff.
Oh, at least. I would say
Yeah.
it's probably up over 10 free calendars, and then we also submit, periodically, we submit, like 3 months' worth of events to magazines and newspapers and such. You never know what they're going to pick up on. We've gotten quite a bit of free publicity this year. For instance, Rural Heritage, that's just a case in point. On Rural Heritage Day, of course, all the events we send out, one publication picked up on Rural Heritage Day, another publication picked up on the Spirit Reunion in the cemetery in the evening. They had over 200 people attend the Spirit Reunion this year, which is just crazy.
That's probably almost double, I think,
Yeah.
what we normally get.
And it's one of the only opportunities to raise money to help with the upkeep for the cemetery, so they were just tickled pink. But again, it was just because we had their information, we shared it, and you never know what a publication is going to pick up on. So they picked up on that one. This month, I don't think I brought it, but this month, Show Me Missouri Magazine did a special on Christmas celebrations all over the state, and St. Genevieve was featured in that. And this past weekend, I'm a little bit off the agenda here, but this past weekend in Cape Girardeau in southeast Missourian, they had contacted me because we send our events down there, and they wanted information on things going on in the historic district during the month of December. So, I just answered some questions for them. So they did a nice little article in their our Southeast Missouri newspaper about what you can do in St. Genevieve in the month of December, so that was kind of neat. And
Just a suggestion, next year, since we seem to have Rural Heritage Day on the same day as the Apple Festival, I had to go to a wedding that day, and just going up 55, they were backed up on 55, both directions. You ought to put a banner up right at that exit as you get off and say, St. Genevieve Rural Heritage Day's Spirit Reunion.
Yeah.
Go south.
we actually had a number of people who came to our Rural Heritage Day who had intended to go to Kemswick, and it was so crowded and backed up, they just kept going, which, exactly to your point. And I know we're going to be talking about billboards and such, but,
There might be a thought for next year, because
yeah.
they pull in a lot of people for that, and I'm sure
Oh,
people
yeah.
get tired of sitting in that traffic.
I was in it too. I had a baby shower to go to.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, and that's Saturday and Sunday too, so they might decide to come down here on Saturday and then still go to that on Sunday.
Now, I heard those comments about 61. Are you saying it was? that way?
55. No, they were backed up on 55, at least a half a mile or more.
Wow.
All
Both
the way back
ways.
to Richardson Road on the
Mhm.
southbound side.
They have a couple of shuttles that use the commuter parking lot on 55 as the staging area, so that's why the cars are all getting off right there on Interstate 55.
Then, let's see. I'm kind of going down the old business list.
That's all
aren't
right.
I? Okay. CTM, this is the In the Rack Display Program. We talked about it at the last meeting, and we were satisfied that they have sufficient electronic tracking for the number of brochures that we put in and that come out. And so we'll be participating in that program for December, January, and February. We can decide to continue it after that, but at least we'll be in that program up and down Interstate 55 for those months. So you'll see more about that. And if you're in a business and you hear people say, you know, I picked up a brochure, I have a rack in my hotel room and decided to do a day trip, that's always good. So we'll be there.
Can I
And
throw something out
Yes.
that's kind of, this may be not the right time and place to bring it up, but don't you think we should consider doing a more economical version for CTM distribution?
You mean a smaller brochure, almost like a rack card?
Yeah, well, a 3-panel.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting a lot of paper, a lot of information that people
Mhm.
maybe just collecting brochures as they drive around the country, or,
My kids always said that's how we took vacations. Dad just pulled the rack card out.
kind of point to point. You could look at it that way, but at the same time, that brochure's been out there for a year, and we know we have a number of changes already, so, you know, eventually we're going to have to update and change and reprint. And I had some that were printed, you know, with the different covers, so they're seasonal, so this is actually perfect for, and we could think about that later on, but this is actually perfect for those seasonal ones that have kind of the winter scene on the front. So really, I'm kind of excited about it.
yeah, the only reason I brought it up is because it kind of pains me in the past week, before the website was so heavily used, when we printed twice as many folding brochures as we do now. But to send it 30,000 at a time, you know, it's just like,
Yeah.
kind of
And we may think about that, you know, as we transition to some more of the map and all of that being on an in-town brochure, maybe you just highlight in the panel, you don't have as much information on each thing that we have. And it's more target marketing.
Well, that's true, and I would suggest that when we do the next one, we should eliminate a lot of the paragraph information on a more streamlined brochure, because no one reads the paragraph information, I'm sorry. I know you love the paragraph information, but
and white space is good too.
white space is beautiful. It helps the eye, it draws you in, and allows you to focus on things.
Yeah.
So I will put that concept out there for a streamlined brochure.
That's something you could work with the print committee
Uh-huh.
on and start thinking about it.
Believe
'Cause
me,
we're-
I
Plus,
on
it just
that.
wasn't maybe the best time to bring it up.
But I think, we're probably on a 2-year cycle on those printing, or 2.5-year cycle, and so we ought to be, we're a year in now, and it's time to start thinking about the next cycle.
Speaking of that, I'm sure it's on here. Oh, it is, okay. Speaking of updating the brochure, there's a PDF of our visitor's guide on the brochure, and as you saw in the minutes last meeting, we talked about updating that PDF, at least on the website, so that if somebody downloads it, they're not seeing Monia Store
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. So I sent all of those changes to Kim, and she is working on those changes, and we'll have a revised PDF here shortly. I'll probably send it out to Kelly and Jan just to take a look at it before we make it live, but that would be a great jumping off point for such a...
Things are fluid, and, we had
Yeah.
talked about doing it every quarter. That's probably a little too frequently, but at least mid-year, we ought to be doing an update on those.
And so I already talked about some of the upcoming events.
That's one thing we need to, we kind of passed over the training opportunities. You were,
We rescheduled the tax preparation seminar for chamber that was supposed to be last week. We had only 3 people sign up, so we are looking to reschedule it for sometime in January. We figured December was going to be too busy with everyone's holiday schedules, so we're looking at January for that. So if you still have year-end stuff, you'll have an opportunity to hear what you need to prepare for.
This was the tax one.
The tax preparation. And then our Excel training seminar will be scheduled for February 18th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the High School Business Center, our business lab. And Denise Spader and Dr. Gary Smith will.
So what was that date? The
February-
Excel training?
February 18th.
Thank you.
It's a Wednesday evening, and it is free to anyone who wants to participate. And we're going to be working with Denise and Dr. Smith on those classes, or actually on that class. The other tax classes, Rick Schaefer and Matt Schweigert from Harrell and Bosler. So.
I know how you like television. You ought to go on What's Happening Now
What's
a
New,
little bit
yeah.
before that.
I should, yeah.
Yeah. Encourage people to go.
I could do
It's
that.
fun. I don't know if you saw last week.
I've been on it
Yeah.
before.
Last week, Mary Ann brought our little talking
Oh, goodness.
turkeys and stuff.
Oh, my.
Oh, my.
Well, next week, Annette will be on for the Holiday Christmas Festival.
Well, I mean, it's important for any chamber member or for any business owner, or even individual who wants to go and just have a little bit more opportunity for maybe some extended training in Excel. And I mean, Excel changes so much that
But
I'm
it's such a
excited to
powerful
take
tool.
it.
I
It's
mean,
a very powerful tool, and
yeah.
most people don't work it right. They don't, so.
Feels about Excel like I do my cell phone. There's a million things and I do 4.
Well, we'll try to get you to go to 6. 6.
I'll just throw one more thing out there, and I'll switch hats for a moment here. For economic development and downtown renewal, we're looking at a possible date to do a seminar on small businesses that could be eligible for historic tax credits, and we're looking at a possible date of Wednesday, December 17th. So if historic tax credits is something that you are interested in, be sure to call down to the Welcome Center, and we'll be sure to put your name on that. We'll have Bill Hart, who is now the executive director for the Missouri Historic Preservation Office, to come in and lead that discussion and kind of give examples of what has worked and the kinds of things that need to be addressed in tax credits for historic preservation.
I think that's a good seminar. It's really good for the downtown people because we have the TIF district set up, and historic tax credits in Missouri, you can get 25% of qualified rehabilitation expenses back, even if it's just a private home. If it's a business, you can get an additional 20% from the federal group. So, I mean, it's a program that takes a little effort. You got to go into it at the beginning of a rehab, but I think it to work hand in hand with our TIF district initiative.
What time is that, Sandra?
The time hasn't been set yet. We're talking about 6 to 8 p.m., but I wouldn't quote that.
Okay.
As soon as we have a definite, I'll share it.
Do you have a location yet?
It'll either be the Welcome Center or here at City Hall.
I have a question. Are you going to include perhaps the foundation, I mean, not the foundation, the
Landmarks.
other committee?
Landmarks.
Landmarks
Yes.
to be there, and I wonder because they don't know to come to them and ask them about that.
Yes.
They were informed last night of the meeting.
Yeah, and it would be wise of you to invite those commissioners because they don't understand it.
Mhm.
They don't, and here they are being
Trying to
asked
make
the question all
decisions,
the
right.
time. And the other group that I would ask you to inform about this is the real estate.
Here, here.
Because the real estate people have gotten up before everyone and said, you know, I don't get tax credits, you can't get tax credits, and that's not true. They're not informed at all. As Jan says, we've run into it so many times. So that's one group that I would ask if they would not mind sending somebody from their.
That's a great suggestion. We'll make sure, I know a lot of them are members of the chamber, so they should potentially hear about it through that. I also made sure that Petrie knew about it. Petrie Powell is the new community development. She staffs the Landmarks Committee.
Okay.
So I think we might have a good turnout.
Yep.
But the real estate and the commissioners is great, yeah.
Is there any other old business? If not, let's move on to new business. Then that's kind of where you were headed with the Travel South and ABA.
So the first week in December is the Travel South Expo. This is going to be in New Orleans. This is their international expo, and it's the first one that the state of Missouri is participating with the whole Travel South program. And we've been invited to participate in a pod called Old Man River. And so I'm coordinating with two other tourism departments, one from Hannibal, Missouri, and one from Jefferson City, and coordinating our participation in that pod. So I'm optimistic that this could bring some additional exposure that St. Genevieve has not had. This is specific to the group travel. These are motor coach planners who either book travel directly or they use receptives, which are tour group operators in the U.S. who help international tour groups to come in. And so that's the first week in December, and then in January is the American Bus Association meeting. It's going to be in St. Louis. And I'm working with the Division of Tourism to structure our participation in that event. I had hoped that we might be able to get a pre-conference FAM tour. They don't have time to come all the way to St. Genevieve and get back to St. Louis, but we're trying to structure some other specific ways that we can participate and get in front of more of those motor coach operators for the ABA conference.
Where do they typically have that conference? Do they rotate it around?
Last year it was in Nashville, Tennessee. Laura and I went to it.
And then it goes to Cleveland.
After
15,
St. Louis, yeah.
They're all over.
Yeah. We're just really lucky, actually, that it's in St. Louis. So there's that, which is, I mean, it's actually good that these events are in December and January. It's unfortunate for me that it's the 4 days before the holiday Christmas festival, but I'm trying to get everything done and off my plate before that week, so.
I think you explained to me that's really one of those things where they set up schedules or you set up a schedule and you get to go talk to them for a set amount of time make your pitch and.
Speed dating, basically. It's like speed dating.
But that's not Travel South.
They're the same way.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna, actually, at that one, the destinations sit in the pod and the customers come to them. So, yeah, so we're in the pod called Old Man River. And there'll be 3 of us in that pod, and there's 6 other pods throughout the state of Missouri. There's a Route 66 pod, and
I think there's a wine and grape pod.
There
She
is.
said she's going, yeah.
yes, yeah. So that's exciting.
Hank made a comment today in a meeting that when he started, there were like 29 wineries, and now there's 100.
In the year 2000.
We were number 48, I think, in 2004, and.
There's like
they're
120.
pushing. Yeah, they're over 150.
Yeah.
Drove to Jefferson City on Highway 50, which I haven't done in 10 years. It hadn't changed, except for every 10 miles there's a line.
And on that note, we have a new winery location downtown in St. Genevieve. The Spirit House has received their license as a full-blown winery. So we've added them to the website under places that you can do wine tasting in downtown St. Genevieve. So just, a little off topic there, but so that people know, you heard it here first.
Gary, right?
Yes.
Somebody needs to broadcast that information to the innkeepers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we'd have egg on our face if people were strolling around, they come back, tell
Yeah.
us about it.
Well, I mean, his operation hasn't changed from the fact that he always did have wine there, but, yeah. So I can broadcast that to the innkeepers. Okay.
Just don't put it on you.
Actually, there's another thing that I want to send you all anyway. Well, you'll get it here today, but it's this information about Holiday Christmas Festival to send out to your guests. Let me just write this down so I don't forget. So, speaking of that, and I should put and ASL. So, ASL Pewter, I've been in constant communication with them, and originally they had hoped that they might be able to be open in December, especially in time for the Christmas walk, Holiday Christmas Festival. They have some electrical and other things that they need to do for their occupancy permits, and so they're planning on opening up after the first of the year. And they thought that it might do well to target what would normally be the fourth Friday, because there is no fourth Friday art walk in January, so that's kind of what they're thinking now.
Like an open house or a...
Well, they didn't say that. I suggested to them that they might want to consider that, but I haven't gotten anything official from them.
They can't even open the doors for a showroom for Christmas festival? Just that day?
If they don't have occupancy.
No. Martin, I
Where are
guess.
they going to be located?
They're at the old Ice House across the street from the Southern Hotel. Yeah. So, and it's going to be, you've seen, well, you saw the pictures of their, you might not have been at that meeting, but we had pictures of their retail space up in Louisiana. It's just a beautiful space.
I've been in that space.
Well, okay then.
It is
It's
nice.
really
It's very
hard for them to
nice.
give up the business that they have over all the years located in Louisiana to come down here when they can't move in. You know, they're here every other day, or somebody is here, and I have keys to the building, and it's difficult for them, you know, they're starting to make a living.
And they're at a show this week, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
Trying to, it's probably Christmas or business they get in Louisiana. terms of kind of doing something temporary here, one day, it'd be difficult for them, but.
Yes, it's very difficult. You know, those of you who are in business, even if people are in winery business, it's difficult for them to take off on a busy weekend at their winery to do a show somewhere. If they don't-
Well, I only brought it up because he brought it up.
Yeah. But I mean, I wish they would. I mean, I still have their stuff in my gallery, but,
And I don't remember the list of things that they need to accomplish. It wasn't major in terms of.
no, they have
plumbing or
trouble
electric.
plumbing and
But
heating right now.
some of it had to
It's all brand
do
new.
with occupancy of the living quarters.
Yeah.
And,
That's why I was,
you know,
I think you ought to be able to separate that.
well,
It's not even an overnight stay.
yeah, I'd have to look at it. They have to request it, but you know,
Well,
if we can kind of limit access to the showroom and all this appropriate safety
Yeah.
features are in place, I've been known to issue temporary occupancy permits.
It's so frustrating for them right now.
Sure. That stuff's all brand new, I don't understand.
To them, that is.
Well,
That's
I
old
mean,
bag stuff.
Never been used.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
that's the
been
problem.
sitting for so long, I guess, maybe.
Possibly,
Oh, and then just on upcoming events and advertising, of course, most of the advertising that we're doing right now has to do with either the Shop Small program or the Holiday Christmas Festival. And Mike, I'll be getting with you later this week, but I had asked for proposals by various TV stations to see if we wanted to do a smaller commercial schedule like what we did last year. And then also trying to pitch a story for the renewal or the resurgence in downtown St. Genevieve with a lot of the recent and upcoming investment in new venues to come into St. Genevieve. And so I've been talking with several of the, the publications that we might be able to get some exposure on those topics. And Dina and I are meeting next week with the new general manager for Audubon's of St. Genevieve and also with Joe Rozier to get some information about what the plans are in terms of scheduling and everything, soft opening, regular openings, marketing materials, all those kinds of things, because especially as I'm meeting with groups, I need to know, what are we looking at in terms of dates and capacities and so on. So all very exciting stuff, and it's all coming together in the next, we hope, 60 days or so. I don't want to make any promises for other people, but we're hoping. So, and then I'll just pass this around. This is a copy of the full-page ad for the Holiday Christmas Festival. This has all of the activities that are going on in addition to kind of the ad up at the top. And so this is something that I'll be emailing out also to the B&B owners so they can share it with their guests who are booked for the weekend of the Holiday Christmas Festival.
There's a lot going on that weekend with the Fair Festival, or the Fair Christmas. There's like 3 or 4 things going on that
That's
weekend.
the Sunday,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
I have a question. Do you know when, like, the downtown decorations will be up? I had 2 people call me about that today at the office.
yes, so, and Martin, I haven't even had a chance to catch up with you about this. So there are 2 different sets of decorations. There are the wreaths that go on the flagpoles, and there are the light-up snowflakes and things like that. The wreaths that go on the, sorry?
Lamp posts.
What did I say, flagpoles, lamp posts, sorry. The wreaths that go on the lamp posts are ready to go up maybe this week, maybe beginning of next week, whenever there's time and, decent weather. So those might get up even before the light-up snowflakes and such. The light-up decorations are usually put up immediately after Thanksgiving, and that involves not a forklift, but a cherry picker kind of a truck, and Citizens and Marzuko's.
Bucket truck.
Yeah, bucket truck, there you go. So there's, some decorations will be up fairly shortly, and then the light-up decorations will be up right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, they didn't want to come when there was no Christmas decorations up.
See?
I said,
That makes a big difference.
Let me ask.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. I had proposed trying to move it up a little bit. Apparently, it's been the same way every year, so.
See, and I thought when we used to make the wreaths, we always put them up the week before Thanksgiving.
Well, the wreaths will be up, but the light-up things are always done
No,
the same way.
they used to do big cedar wreaths, I
When we used
think.
to make the big cedar wreaths out
Yeah,
of the
they're
chicken
not
wire
going
and
to do
stuff.
that this year, I don't
Right.
think.
I don't think they did it last year.
They're store-bought wreaths.
Yeah, I know they're not very pretty, but they work. They need some TLC, I think, but
Some fluffing.
some
Yeah.
fluffing, that's the word, fluffing.
I think they've been cleaning the lights too
Well,
lately.
tell them to fluff them.
I go out and fluff my own after they're done.
Just two other publication-related things. This is 417 magazine, just like we have our 573 magazine. This is the magazine that covers Southwest Missouri, Springfield area. And they did, I'll just pass this around, they did a nice article about spending the weekend in St. Genevieve. It's called Wine Weekend in St. Genevieve. And talks about where to stay, where to eat, and some of these are downtown, and where to drink wine, and then where to explore, including the historic home tours. So I'll just pass this around, everyone can take a look at it. I want to thank Jan for bringing in an extra copy for us. So we usually get it whenever it's time to get the bill paid. So, and then I don't know if we were going to get to this, but Bob and I were talking the other day on the topic of group events like weddings and corporate events and things like that. And this is what's called the Missouri Meetings and Events Resource Directory. This is what meeting planners, et cetera, would be their go-to for, for booking an event. And so I've made arrangements for St. Genevieve as a destination to be included in this publication, both the print publication and online. So in 2015, we'll be included in this.
When is all that due? The information, or is it already passed?
6 months ago.
I figured that. Is it on an annually it would be due in like April for changes?
Oh, no, I would say, that might have been August or September, if I remember right. Yeah. You thinking about an ad maybe for next year?
No, that I'm just thinking about making sure that we kind of get that into our calendar of things to do each year to kind of revisit our listing of places and update it and just get it into a time period.
I think that's everything.
Cindy, did you say this is going to run as an ad somewhere?
Really? Does it come with a pocket magnifying glass?
Oh, that's probably printed as a PDF. I think that's going to be a tabloid size sheet.
And where will it be run?
Southern Illinois. It's called the Holiday Extra publication.
From the Chester
Yeah.
paper that Judy is putting together, that?
That's one of them,
Okay.
that whole region.
Okay.
It's included in all those papers as
Let's
a
hope they
special
blow it
insert.
up.
Yeah.
It's actually an insert that
Right.
folds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 11 by
It's like a
17.
magazine
Yeah.
thing. That's just,
It's like a secondary insert.
Hard to read.
yeah?
It's a lot of information on there.
What happened to that beautiful white space thing?
Yeah.
It won't look like that on a bigger spread.
Typos in here, they're gonna correct those.
I'm not in charge of
No,
that.
you're
What do you
not in
mean?
charge. Maybe, I'll call somebody tomorrow.
Need to highlight it.
Just a quick update on NPS. I sent it out to people that was concerned. There was really no new update. They still haven't gotten permission to print the report. She kind of alluded that it's in line or in the queue. We did have a meeting with Tom Schulte today, who's Senator Roy Blunt's representative. I know Hank was there, and Jan and Leslie and myself, and just to kind of, maybe get the senator involved or his office involved with them to kind of ask a question about when's the print going to come out, because we'd still like to have that come out in December and a January public, 30-day public comment period. We did emphasize to him how valuable that would be to our tourism business to have that arrowhead on the highway. And Senator Blunt's been a strong supporter of this, as Jason Smith's been also. So the other thing that I wanted to kind of do, we kind of had a conversation last time we started one, is how to improve or take advantage of the river, access to the river, and maybe the thought was maybe just do a little brainstorming as to things that we could possibly do to more involve the river in our tourism business. And so I just kind of wanted to throw it out to kind of get a list of ideas. I know there's some things underway, like the flood gauge park could be one. The hiking, biking trail, that I think you gave us an update on that last month in the meeting. There was a few years back, there was some money that was kind of started to be collected to do an improvement down at the ferry landing.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the ramrod of that, or who was leading that effort? Because
I guess that would be myself, and, there was a committee that we had. Kathy, I think you were on that committee. Did you go down to the Red Star Landing with us?
Yes.
Did you go? Okay. So myself, Jan, I know Sam Huey was on that group. Tom Ugala was on it. What was his first name? Ugala? Tin Roof?
Oh,
John?
John.
Beluga.
Beluga.
Magazine.
Sort of close, yeah.
There's a couple $1,000s in escrow,
Mm-hmm.
community foundation.
Right.
Where was it proposed?
About 100 yards south of the ferry landing.
On
It was a double
railroad
wide
property or Mississippi Line property? Whose property?
MoDOT Ferry's property, part of it.
No, 951.
Well, so your point is there are some funds out there when we get together some recommendations, I think, right?
Well, I think, I kind of drove down there today. It's a problem area to make it look pretty, because when it floods, it brings in debris and stuff, but it's not a very attractive area right now. And there's a welcome to Missouri sign, but not a welcome to St. Genevieve sign in that area. Donna Muller and her Fleur de Lis Club does a very nice job down on 61 and St. Mary Road and up at Market Street and 61, but there's really nothing down there that says you're welcome to historic St. Genevieve. But just thinking there could be like a cemetery, we have that little signboard that talks about the history of the cemetery. You could do something like that down at that landing, that it could be removable. If the water's coming up, you just pull it off so you don't have to worry about it.
Well, and we talked about removable benches, we talked about some nice rock across the front of there. And I had recently talked with Ron Inman about the fact that we were going to be talking about this whole how to engage at the river, and he said to get back in touch with him, because he might be able to help us out down there in terms of the rock and so on. And just just under categories of dressing up that area, and then the other category of having direct river access, which is actually what the purpose of that committee was to find river access for pleasure craft as well as boats. And Martin and I have had several discussions.
Crafts as well as what?
Like river boats. So Martin and I have had several discussions recently about just the river and access to the river, and there's basically 3 places: the ferry landing, or just south of the ferry landing. There's the old marina out here, and the direct ramp that's right there. I don't know if anybody's driven out there recently, but there is a ramp there. And at one time, they actually had a riverboat come into that area by the marina, and people got off on what's now the leftover fuel dock there. And then the third place is the port south of St. Genevieve. So I think if we're going to talk about that larger discussion, maybe we need to have some kind of a task force or something, and probably should engage members of this group, other members who would be interested, maybe some of the original members from that committee. I think we would want to get the county involved as well, obviously.
Is there, I know, Martin, you've been working on the culvert down there that goes under the tracks. Any more progress on that?
No, we got the drainage ditch cleared, and both the ditch that parallels the track and the ditch that takes it to the river. But weather got in our way, so we weren't able to grade it to drain, although it's a whole lot better than it was. We still have to get in there with the backhoe at some point and grade it so that it drains. When we get that, then we use our sewer jetter to jet out the coal. But right now, it wouldn't do any good because we have to finish the work between the railroad and the river.
Since you're getting so good at dealing with the railroad, perhaps we should next go after them for the right-of-way housekeeping. We have all this beautiful parkland on one side, and
I've been doing that pretty regularly for the last 2.5 years, so
Yeah.
apparently I'm not as good as you.
well, you did get something done with the culverts, so
Well, it was not,
I just think it's not really a very good-looking entrance to the city. The weeds and the junk just kind of sitting around is not conducive.
Did they get rid of that bad house a month ago?
I haven't noticed, did I?
I thought I heard about that. I could drive up to the city.
When I drove through there one day, I thought my lungs were gonna burn. I can't imagine that was OSHA compliant.
Oh, well, and then we've also talked about, and I guess some of the innkeepers especially, you probably get these kinds of requests too, but I know at the Welcome Center, we get requests like, where can I see eagles? They want to know, if they, most of them think that because they're here on the river, that they can look out over the river somewhere. There are old descriptions in old brochures and out on the internet that says from Marquette Park, you can look out over the beautiful Mississippi River, and now you cannot see any inch of the Mississippi River from Marquette Park.
I drove up there today to kind of look around. You can't. Drove up to the VFW. The trees, you'd almost have to cut a swath through there just to even see it. Probably the best view in the county is Magnolia Hollow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a jaunt.
That's quite a trek up there.
Yeah.
So people ask that. I know you have shared with me that you've had boaters coming down the river that are interested in getting off at St. Genevieve because they've heard about it, read about it. But how do they do that,
Well, the other thing is you have phase 4 of the levee project, and down the road of making that levee more of a, looking for eagles and that sort of thing. The other thing we've talked about over time is the National Wildlife Refuge possibility for that borrow pit area out there in the bird watching and that sort of thing. Still doesn't give you a direct view of the river. That's the
What was the term you just used, Bob?
National Wildlife Refuge.
No, the borrow pit?
The borrow pit for the levee, I guess that's how
On
they.
the riverside.
On the riverside, there's a little lake.
Okay. Where they scooped dirt for the levee? I see.
Mhm.
I had not heard that term before.
It's an old Mississippi and Indian culture term.
Yeah?
And they made their mounds. Anything on, what do they call it, the fort, levee, fourth, level 4, or whatever it is? Or
Phase 4?
Phase 4?
How old are you? No, I mean, right now, the Corps is writing the final report, or whatever they call it, and when they get that done, they're gonna meet with the city, and we're gonna identify, so we've got like $3 million for flood control and mitigation, it's just sitting in the bank. Projects that we can undertake, for which we would get credit if we got funding for phases 2, 3, or 4. But that's it, that's as far as it's going. Additional money in the current water resources bill. I don't know how long it'll be before the next authorization. And how many years that was approved?
Like every 5 years.
5, and so this one just approved last year.
Yeah.
So it'll
So we'd
be,
be 4 years away from any hope of funding if we started today.
so 2018. So we need to get that estimates from the Corps to even be able to talk about phases 3 and 4, huh?
2.
2, 3, and 4. Is 2
2
get?
is the North Creek, 3 is the South Creek improvements, and 4 is the recreational.
Okay.
But you know, they did reevaluate and kind of make some progress on kind of rethinking the phase 2, so that was a step in the right direction. And we came up with an idea, and that's what they're working on now, and the levy district signed off on it, incorporating it in their final report.
Well, probably the other thing that needs to get on this list would be the flood park itself. I mean, again, there was some kind of a flurry at the beginning, and need to kind of move forward with that, because there's a lot of good things that we can do there.
I'd like to make a comment on that. It is flood buyout property, and while possible to do something like, whatever we do needs to be approved by SEMA and FEMA. So we need to be thinking about a master plan that we can submit for approval, because I don't know how long that process will take.
I think you told me, you sent me something before about what we can and can't do in buyout property, and the fact that it all has to be approved by FEMA.
Yeah.
FEMA and SEMA, Martin, or
But
just?
you go through SEMA to get to FEMA.
Okay. And I've conveyed that to the Downtown Renewal Project members who, and there are some new members on that design committee, so maybe that'll start moving forward again.
I was just thinking, out at the ferry landing, the little thing about the transfer ferry, that's kind of so unique in the fact that we had
And we
that.
have lots of pictures about it.
Right.
There's information in the museum about it.
Mhm.
I brought this to share with you. This is, I don't have enough, it's probably not even as interesting enough. I really like it for this graphic. But this is a guy that was doing a fundraiser and rode down the Mississippi River. to raise money for the Right to Play cause. But we get lots of people who are interested in the Great River Road, who are interested in the Mississippi River. You know, anytime you talk to an international visitor or, you know, even a U.S. visitor, they see, you know, Missouri as part of this Mississippi River Valley, and it has significance for them. And as Bob pointed out, I think it's part of our story and part of our unique selling propositions that we could include.
You know, Larry was, I think, a member of the River Heritage Group that met down at Cape with his passing. I wonder.
I've been meeting with them. I went to their last meeting, and I'm going to their December meeting. And I've actually invited them to come here to St. Genevieve to meet next spring, possibly in March.
Can anyone think of any other ways we can use this river that's a pain sometimes, but how to make it a positive for us? And you always think about events on the river. I don't know if we have had kayakers come down, but I mean, if the old Mississippi Queen and the American Queen could have their race again, that'd be cool.
Well, and I was talking with Gary Stolzer, the sheriff, and he was kind of enlightening me on the phenomenon of the loopers, the people that loop through the Mississippi River and down through the intercoastal waterways and even up around through the Great Lakes and then back down again. That's what they do. You know, they might be retirees or whatever, but that's how they spend their free time, either the whole year or just part of the year. And
What kind of vessels do they use?
Big ones.
pretty big ones, yeah.
Big ones. And a lot of them then harbor them over the winter at Kentucky Lake.
So you're familiar with the loopers? So they're out there. There's traffic.
Is there an organization that you can?
Ask Gary Stolzer about it. I mean, there probably is. And there's definitely riverboat traffic that we could be tapping into, and we're just not. I mean, this year we had one visit from the American Queen out of 3. 2 out of 3 they canceled, but we got them, as you know, they dock in Chester and get on a boat and ride for an hour to get over here, and that's one of several options they could sign up for. So if they were landing here and getting off, they could spend a lot more time and ostensibly money in St. Genevieve if they were here.
Mm-hmm.
And learning more about St. Genevieve while they're here.
They seem to be intrigued with going across the ferry for some reason, and it probably adds an hour to their trip over with the waiting and having to go all the way up to the ferry from Chester. Did we get any feedback from them about this year's events or anything, or our services to them? I know they have a new...
We got a thank you note. I mean, it was one of their largest groups ever, was that. I'm thinking it was 54 people. I could be a little off there, but...
No, I think you're right.
Yeah. So...
Well, riverboat traffic, that would be so outstanding, but I think even if we start small, we need to start. I think this needs to be a front burner issue.
Yeah, there are a lot of pleasure boats that go up and down there. I mean, they're not carrying 200 passengers, they're privately owned boats, but they're...
Right. That would buy marina gas, that would eat dinner in a restaurant, that possibly even would like a shower and a real bed for a night. So.
Can boats park at the new industrial site down there?
The port? I don't think pleasure craft can. I mean, we'd have to,
They don't have a dock.
yeah, the dock's like higher than this room. Not to say that.
Yeah, have you been down to Chester where they dock the boat down there? I mean, they tend to have a small riverfront park with benches and stuff that they maintain. I assume that's
Right
where
by the bridge, yeah.
Yeah, where they're docking.
Yeah. So, I couldn't agree more, Jan, and I think that,
I'll volunteer to be on.
I think what we need to do is kind of maybe list all of these and get some feedback, what you think the most important ones are, the ones we should go after first, and then try to see if we can get people to ramrod or lead to try to get some of these things done. It doesn't all have to be one group that does it.
I think Paducah has about the best riverfront park I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Cape has the wall, which they used it for artistic purposes, but it kind of separates the town from that. I've been down to New Madrid, they have their river walk, which is really just their levee right there on the river, but you can see the river. That's the one thing you can do there.
Well, I think one of the things we need to do early on is obviously this kind of brainstorming and, you know, winnowing down to the final ideas, but really early on, we need to find out what we cannot do from the Corps of Engineers, like thin out the poplars, maybe.
Yeah, if New Madrid can do walk the walk on top of their levee, I wonder why we would have a problem with ours.
I don't know if theirs is a Corps levee or was it a city levee. I mean, it's right downtown.
Obviously, recreational use of the levee was anticipated and approved by the Corps, that it's in their plan. I don't think it's the Corps that's the problem.
Maybe we could we have the Corps people come down and talk to us sometime about, or is there a plan for Phase 4 of what they're thinking about?
I think we have it in-house.
That's perhaps something we should look at, is that, that was just primarily a walking, biking
Yeah.
trail? Did it have signposts or anything on it, or?
Well, I don't think we got level of detail.
Mark, did you make a comment recently that we can't call it a hiking, biking trail?
No, the new trail that we're talking about constructing on Main Street isn't wide enough to be used for both hiking and biking because of the constraints of the width of the street.
Part of the width of the street, isn't it?
Well, it's more than
Floodgates.
floodgate.
Mhm.
You gotta have 10 feet to accomplish that. And so they won't let us use the road, and so they eliminated the nomenclature biking. It won't be marked for biking.
Yeah.
They had safety concerns about a number of things, but we took care of that with signage. So they signed off on everything, and we're down to like 3 items that they still want changed. And we could go to bid on that.
Did you consider parking up at the park from the gate, from the floodgate to the entrance to the park? Is that?
It's actually designed for everything you're talking about tonight, with a parking and overlook area, just after you go across the tracks where that kind of parking area is. We could never get permission from Burlington Northern to use the property.
They own the north side of the road too?
Which is why I asked the question. If you were anticipating doing something back, whatever, whose property was it?
Perhaps so you could educate us on that whole stretch, who owns what? Do they own that bluff where the water comes out of? No.
Mississippi Line.
Well, let's widen it.
I thought we could make that road a little higher than the railroad tracks.
Actually, that thought has, that when we were having trouble getting cooperation from the railroad, someone else had that thought. We'll just raise our roads, the heck with it. Let them keep water.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe we send this out, we've written it down, maybe send it out and everybody kind of take a chop at it as to what they think should be the higher priority things that we can accomplish. It sounds like we need to really understand ownership of property down in that area. And the flood buyout property restrictions too. Okay.
When you talk about your next meeting or our next meeting, Beth wasn't here at the last meeting when we kind of discussed alternating between a morning time and an evening time and which day of the week and all that kind of thing. So I was trying to fill her in about that.
And I think you said something that Mondays are not good in the mornings.
Mondays are kind of just as bad as Fridays now. Those are our 2 busiest days in the mornings. And I don't know how much now, like, if I'm not there, my mom has to be there, and we're trying to get her to take more time off, and it's important to me that she does, so if she's not there, I have to be. So just during the day is probably gonna be bad for me for a while, but evenings are good.
Is there, so there's really no day during the week that's...
There's no day that's better than any other.
I know, like Kathy, you have a business to run too, and
I like the early evening, like this meeting.
Yeah, it's 5:30, I thought was a good start time.
I mean,
Obviously, everyone's.
if you can remember that, that's what it is. I don't know, if you all want to do the evening meetings, that's fine with me. That's kind of a burden on Carla and Sandra too, but...
Meetings are my life. I'm just going to come resigned to it. If it's not this, it'd be a committee, so.
If y'all want to do it in the evening, that's fine with me. I mean, try to keep it sharp.
I feel like we had a pretty good turnout tonight, and we don't
Yeah.
normally see this many people at our morning meetings, so I thought
Yeah,
it was maybe.
You're right, I think you'll avoid a lot of conflicts by doing it this time.
If we can keep it to an hour.
Yeah, Tuesday evenings, 5:30. Is it the
I'd
third Tuesday?
suggest that at least we do it a couple more times.
Okay.
Emailing.
And then if we want to switch to something else, fine, it's not carved in stone, but let's try a couple of them.
Okay.
Or three.
So do you want to keep that date and switch to the evening?
We had a Monday.
December
Tuesday.
15th.
Third Mondays are usually landmarks.
So we can do it on Tuesday night, can't we?
Should be able to.
Landmarks doesn't start till 7.
Oh.
It's 5 to 7 now.
What?
It's 5 to 7 now.
Missed a couple.
So what your point was, could we do 5:30 to 7 or 5:30 to 6:30 maybe?
Yeah,
You have a third Tuesday.
well, we were on Mondays in the morning, but, right,
Well, the December meeting was, at the last meeting, was scheduled for the third Monday. It was going to be at 9:30 in the morning.
December 15th.
So now, it's looking to be the third Monday in the evening now,
or
First
Tuesday.
Monday's planning and zoning, which doesn't always meet. When they do,
Right.
it's in here.
right?
But they have it at 7, Martin?
The second Monday
Yes,
is
7.
the levy district, which meets here.
Right, and that's at 5
Third
o'clock.
Monday is landmarks. So you're down to the fourth Monday.
Or we could do it Tuesday.
Or-
Tuesday.
Or the third Tuesday, like this one is.
Third, 1, 2,
There
3.
shouldn't be anything.
Can't we
You can do
do
that.
the 15th at 5:30 if they meet at 7?
It's fine with me.
Martin, on the third Monday, which is landmarks, they meet at 7, right?
Yeah, you could be out before landmarks is in here.
That would be feasible?
Kind of
Making sure we get it
make sure you
done.
gotta get it. Yeah, that works.
That would be,
That way
no,
I-
that's a different one.
Oh, I thought you meant legislature.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying, well, you said we could be out here by 7, and I was like, well, it's 5 to 7 now, you know?
So they kick us out.
That timing is unbelievable. Have me show
It's your
up.
lobbying directorate.
Okay.
Director.
5:30, excuse me, December 15th, Monday evening, 5:30 to no later than 6:45.
With a Christmas bonus if we can get out.